our advantage. Of course, it starts in a situation like this with recognizing reality. And that reality is that we're living through a hinge moment of history that was sprung by a series of crises in finance, in health, in energy, and in geopolitics. And the thing is that each of those shocks, and they were major shocks, each one of them, didn't just hit the overall level of activity in the global economy, but they lowered the pace of growth, lowered it to a pace of growth that hasn't recovered. And the fact of that is that it is constraining now our governments, our companies, and our families, constraining their ability to cope with a much riskier world. And at the same time, in parallel, the global economy, as we've been hearing today, the global economy is being rewired across trade, across energy systems, across intelligence itself. Trade hasn't grown in aggregate across goods, services, capital since the global financial crisis in 2008. It's a shocking statistic, but it's true. And more fundamentally, what's happening is that trade is now being reordered by a series of protectionist measures, measures to de-risk commercial relationships, de-risk geopolitical relationships, to nurture domestic industries, and also soon, and you just heard a preview of that in the last panel, soon to avoid carbon leakage, because being low carbon is becoming a fundamental driver of national competitiveness. And all of these dynamics, and you live this in your day jobs, and we heard it in the panel before the most recent one, they're being reinforced by the early stages of an AI revolution. So we have a rapidly changing world, and it's a world in which we, as Canadians, it's true for America, but you have a little more influence, we as Canadians can no longer rely on the rules-based order for market access. And nor can we as Canadians, but yes, you as Americans, nor can we as Canadians afford the growing arms race in industrial policies. So speaking for Canadians, or to Canadians, we need to be smarter. We need to focus on key sectors. We need to create a coherent tax system. We need to help our people get the skills to master their machines. And we need to build our core competencies from clean energy to compute. And what we also need to do at the same time, and we can do this at the same time, is to help shape the new international order with our like-minded partners, above all, the United States. Canada is a middle power. If we're not at the table, we'll be on the menu. Question is, being at the table, what's our recipe?